Hello people of the internet, it's Samantha, and if you're new here on my channel, I usually talk about Japanese movies, dramas, entertainment. Sometimes I tap into other Asian pop culture topics as well. And for today's video, I'm actually here to talk about a Japanese drama adaptation of a highly rated Korean drama. I'm talking about Sky Castle. Now, to be perfectly honest, I haven't seen the original Korean version before I jumped into the Japanese adaptation. Not because I wasn't interested in the Korean version. Actually, it's been on my watch list for so long because I've heard so many good things about it. I know that it's one of their one of their highest rated dramas for the past couple of years. I know that it's a little bit has this scandalous tone to it that people really love watching. It's really borderline, very dramatic, suspenseful, all these other things, which I really enjoy. I don't care if there's a lot of suspension of belief needed in a drama sometimes, as long as it's very entertaining. And I feel like that's what Sky Castle is, the Korean version, even if I haven't seen it yet, just based off of results of the viewership. And at the same time, I know that it's produced by JTBC, and I've seen some of JTBC's dramas. I think they're some of my favorite dramas, K-dramas, because they do a good job in terms of creating really good stories that explore a little bit of lavishness, but at the same time, it touches on very human aspects as well. But they also jump into these very convoluted, toxic plot lines that are just so intriguing to watch. The World of the Married being an example of that. And so I was really curious about it, but when I saw that Japan was adapting it, obviously, if you've seen my past videos, you would know that I have a very strong preference for J-dramas. I enjoy the shorter episode format of Japanese dramas compared to the standard 16 to 20 episodes of K-dramas. And there's just something about J-dramas that are more familiar to me. I'm also I usually love watching adaptations of dramas anyways, but for this one I figured I want to check it out first. I want to see if it will convince me to actually commit to watching the original K-drama, which has longer episodes. So all these other things came into consideration as to why I ended up watching this one. It's available on Amazon Prime Video as well, which I'm subscribed to. That's the reason why I ended up watching the Japanese version. And with all that said, so let's just get to it. You've seen from my other videos, before I jump into the actual review, let's break down some of the plot first, for those who are unfamiliar with it or just curious about it. So basically, the title Sky Castle actually refers to this kind of exclusive high-end village where all the families involved in the story live. Think of it as this very, again, high-end elite community where not really just a couple of families live, but at least for the intents and purposes of this story, we are focusing on a couple of families who live within Sky Castle that have intertwined lives, whether that's because of their children or because of the occupation of their husbands being in the same hospital, or simply because the women who are wives of these doctors also have their own kind of clique that puts them into this other level of elite within the Sky Castle complex. Now, we have several families where the story focuses on. There's the Asami family, the Nikaido family, the Natsume family, and the Saejima family. And there's also the newcomers to the Sky Castle community, which are the Minamizawa family. Now, the kind of main mom or main woman in this narrative is Asami Sae. She is kind of the leader of this small clique of families before that is established earlier on into the narrative. Now initially all these families, excluding the Minamizawa family who has yet to arrive to Sky Castle when the story starts, they want their children to get into this elite high school in order for them to like be endorsed to, better schools in the future. Some of them aiming at medical school, all these other things. So again, there's that entire concept of just wanting to get their kids to this very elite, exclusive high school that is really, really difficult to get into, all these things. One of the families where the kid is a lot more senior to the children of the other families was actually accepted into the high school. And so Asami Sai, Nikaido Kyoko, and Natsumi Misaki, they were kind of like courting this other mom, Saiji Makaori, into telling them, how did her son pass. And so after like a couple of discussions here and there, they ended up finding out that she actually hired a tutor for her son in this kind of like very exclusive bidding session, something like that, where you can only enter being VVIP through references and all these other things to get access to these tutors. And the one that they kind of like are aimed themselves at is this mysterious tutor who is said to have 100% guaranteed pass rate, and she only accepts like just a couple of students under her tutelage within the same year. It's that kind of like level of exclusivity, all these stuff. Now, the person who ended up getting that tutor, who is Kudo Ayaka, is Asami Sai. Now, Asami Sai's daughter, Ruri, she's such a go-getter. She hates losing. She always wants to like aim for the top, all these other things. It's almost bordering on really, really obsessive behavior. And one of the characters, her classmate, Miku, kind of like resents her for that, saying that, that's the only thing that you have going for you. Miku, on the other hand, comes from a not so well-off family. Her mom is in the hospital, and she is within the same school as the kids of the other families. Now, in comes Minamizawa Izumi and her family. Minamizawa Izumi comes into the Sky Castle village after something tragic happens to the Saejima family. They move out of their old house, and then the Minamizawa family moves in. She's kind of like investigating what really happened to the Saejima family as a novelist, and so that puts her into kind of like a friction with the other moms, specifically Asami Sai. Now, Minamizawa Izumi has a son called Aoba, and it kind of like causes this love triangle-ish between Ruri and Miku and Aoba. You know how it is with kids, but that kind of like love triangle-ish thing also plays into the narrative later on. But there's just so many complications happening within each family that revolves around, the idea of them really just wanting to push for this school. Now things get tricky because it seems like there's also something mysterious happening with Kudo Ayaka, who is this elite kind of like tutor that is being sought after by these families and have been hired by Asami Sai for Ruri. And there's just so many kind of like mysterious incidents happening that puts this story beyond the extreme of just competitive parents wanting to get their children into, an elite school. And that's where the excitement comes in, I would say. Now, with all that said, so I wouldn't really spoil much of the plot anymore, but talk more about, my thoughts of this series. I do think that the reason why it's so interesting is because, and especially since considering that it rooted from a Korean drama adapted into Japan, like as a viewer, since I'm also Asian, there's really some truth to the level of competitiveness of just the idea of education and level of elitism when it comes to what school you're going, where the reputation, all these other things, and how your grades are when it comes to an Asian household. It's not really a joke at this point. Like, there's really a level of that expectation within the Asian kind of like community, I guess, that even there are some parts of this series that is convoluted, that is complicated, with the level of lavishness of being in Sky Castle and being within these families. And of course, that aspect of the series isn't really something that is relatable. The whole like VVIP 20 million something something to just pay for a tutor, all these kinds of things, like these are not things that a normal person experiences. And I know that some of it has been inflated for entertainment purposes for this series, but just the base idea of it, education competitiveness, getting into like how education is put into such a pedestal, which to some extent it should be. If we're being realistic, you leverage a lot on your educational background, but these kind of like narratives also peg it as something that is very crucial and vital into who you are as a person and part of your identity, as it is part of your DNA and your bone. And to some extent, some Asian families, some Asian societies, even to this day, kind of like to some extent live by that principle. And so that's part of the reason why I think it is so entertaining, is because it touches on that little bit of reality and truth, even when it exaggerates other parts of the narrative. One. Number two, again, there's just so many things about this that is super entertaining and interesting. The way that they shape the mystery around the story, even if again it's just about competitive families and school, they have elements of drama here and there that kind of like draw on these characters, not really making them one-dimensional, at least for most of them, because again, with the Japanese drama having only 9 episodes as compared to the 20 episodes of the K-drama, I'm sure that they kind of like condensed parts of the character arcs of the others to only focus on the main drama drivers of the series. To me, that's no problem at all. I usually find it really boring when a narrative has too many characters that it's trying to like follow and having so many different subplots that don't really add value to the main narrative. And that's why I find J-dramas in general just so interesting, is because it's able to tell like a linear story in a sense, but still adds some character to the sub characters that are playing into it. And so yeah. Now, another thing is, because of it, it actually intrigued me to watch the original Korean version. And I'm only kind of like 2 episodes into it, and I realized that I'm good because I've already seen the Japanese version. I might go back to the Korean version if I just want something to watch, but it's no longer a need to kind of like check it out, because just watching those 2 episodes alone, I can already picture why the Japanese version was cut a certain way. There's just so many fluff in certain episodes in K-dramas that I wish I could cut myself whenever I'm watching them. And I do that when I rewatch something that I already like, fast forward through a couple of scenes that I feel like the story could have made done without. And I think it's a good thing that I watched the Japanese version first, is because again, it condensed everything that I probably wouldn't have already liked in the Korean version. And that's proving to be true, having 2 episodes into the Korean version. That said though, I do think that again, there are other characters that would have probably a little bit more felt fleshed out in the Korean version, because those has longer episodes. Again, I'm still not particularly sure. I'm sure that it's highly rated for a reason, and I think it's because seeing the Japanese version and the nuances and also like just the drama of it all unfold, then that would explain why the original Korean version is rated so high. Just personally for me, I think that 20 episodes telling the same story that could have been done in 9 episodes, it's just too excessive. And again, I've experienced this where Korean versions have better adaptations than original Japanese versions and vice versa. So it's not really more of like, again, it all falls down to preference, I guess. But for this particular version of Sky Castle, I feel like all the drama that could have happened that I would have cared about already happened in the Japanese version, for it to be that extensive in the Korean version. And it's just way too long for me. But it is totally entertaining. The way that they did it, the way, again, the drama of it all, the motive, again, you need to have some level of suspension of belief to be able to find it entertaining. Because obviously, if you're very critical and logical about the situation, then you would just find the motive and just the motive of and the intent of most of the characters to be ridiculous. But to me, whenever I'm watching these types of dramas, I just kind of like turn that off, that side of my brain off, and just want to watch it for the dramatic reveals and just the exaggerations and all these things. And I did find it very, very entertaining, very gripping, wanting to watch the next episode immediately after the one ends, because of like just wanting to what will happen next. I think some of the characters, again, they just felt really kind of like flatter than the others. And again, I mentioned, because it's just 9 episodes, we didn't really have time to like dig deep into these other characters that I feel like the Korean version might have done a little bit better on. But so far, like, if you're just looking for an intriguing watch, not really into drawing a lot of comparisons with the original, and just want something that's short but also kind of like interesting in a sense, then I suggest you check it out. I think that if you watch original Korean version, there would be a lot of like drawing parallels here and there, comparisons, all these things. But maybe my perspective is a little bit fresh, because again, I saw it with a fresh set of eyes, and I just prefer a shorter format more. And I'm just not a huge fan of a lot of fluff when it comes to storytelling, unless it is intentional in every single thing that it does. But so that's why I enjoy the Japanese version. I am still gonna try to see if I'll be able to like finish through the Korean version, because so far, like 2 episodes in, there's just so much there that could have like not made a final cut. But anyways, I understand different mediums, different countries, different formats when it comes to the treatment of the dramas. So yeah, but overall, found it really, really enjoyable. Love that it's on Amazon Prime, and yeah, I'm just enjoying seeing a lot more Japanese dramas on streaming platforms for people to have more access to. And I guess that's that. So with that said, so tell me down in the comments below, what are your thoughts on Sky Castle Japan? Do you think the Sky Castle Korea is still worth kind of like binging? Any like things I should take note of as I'm journeying through the original version, all these things. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel and you would want to hear more from me, please hit subscribe. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you again soon in a new one. Bye!